Welcome to the perpetual show, where the loaves go, we've got flow. Oh yeah. Driving through the fields of green, oh so bright, with the loaf by your side, everything feels right. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The loaf's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The love's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love.
Hello, everybody. We're live. I'm not sure if you can hear Exit. I think you can, actually. I think you can hear her, although she's not speaking.
Oh, I was trying to speak.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Hi.
they can hear you.
Yay.
We're here. So, I've had a day. We, I
To be
kind
fair,
of
you-
pulled... I kind of feel
You've
like I
had a-
did 4 all-nighters in a row. That's what I feel like.
I think you did.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Like not literally, but pretty close. Like Friday, I worked until I don't know, like 9 in the morning, and then I slept for like 3 hours, and then I worked until like 8 in the morning, and then I slept for like 3 hours, and then I worked until like 5 in the morning, and I slept for like 3 hours, and then I like worked until like 6 in the morning or 4 or whatever, and slept for 4 hours. So that's been my weekend. I'm really tired.
I think punch drunk is the term we're looking for.
Yeah, it's just that we fell so far behind that I tried to catch up, still not caught up. Like almost caught up. Like,
Really close.
yeah, if I didn't have to sleep today, I would have caught up. But I had to sleep for like 4 hours, you know?
You really did. That was non-negotiable today.
Yeah,
I kind
so-
of hope that you sleep tonight also.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, over the past few days, we've had, man, I can't remember if I talked about this on Friday. Did I talk, no. Did I talk about Krasnohorivka on Friday? I can't remember. Friday was a long time ago. Friday feels like it was 2 weeks ago. Because I wanted
Last month.
to talk about Krasnohorivka, but I can't remember if I did. Because it's important now. The news is important. So basically,
I mean,
what happened is that Russia did their big push into Pobieda, and they captured the town, or at least most of it, and they tried pushing west, and they pushed a little bit, and then Ukraine kind of took some of it back, and it stabilized on this like line here. And Russia couldn't break through. They were building up forces, and some people I know in the area were very, very worried about the forces that Russia was building up. They thought there was going to be an imminent attack of a very large scale, like very large, like not talking like 5 vehicles. We're talking like 200 vehicles type attack. But it never came, which was weird. And I kind of think that the attack never came because they were probing around looking for a weakness, and I don't think they found a weakness. So they just kind of like, they're like, we'll put that in the back burner, you know? And obviously they've been doing their attacks south in Novomykhailivka, and I think this was kind of their plan B, was to break through Novomykhailivka. So they were attacking up in the north. They've kind of broke through this the northern line. They've been pushing into these kind of dachas in the northern part. They've pushed through most of the town. They've captured, I don't know, like 2/3 of it. And they've been trying to push west. They've been moving through like this, there's like a diagonal trench system here. It kind of runs like this. And they've been pushing through. I think they've captured about half of it. So they're getting hit here now with Ukrainian drones. So I think they captured about half that trench system. They like captured like 2/3 of the town. They tried breaking through the north, and while Russia has been making steady progress, they haven't been able to break through. So they've been putting a lot of resources into Novomykhailivka, but it's not like a breakthrough. And I think they realize that they're probably never going to break through. It's going to be just like a grind all the way. And they're taking enormous casualties, like enormous. So they're like, okay, what else could we do? So you have to look north. Kharivka is kind of pointless. It's ridiculous. Going through Pobieda was easier, would be easier, and it failed. So going through the harder part is just stupid. So that's not an option. So you can't go like north out of Mariinka because there's all these lakes and stuff. So it's can't do that. So the next option is Krasnohorivka, and that's where they've been pivoting for at least a few days. I can't remember what day I found out. Well, I was told that they were pivoting. I think it was like Friday or Saturday that I learned that. And at that point, it was probably like a week old. So they've probably been pivoting for a week or two. And we're now getting these videos of their assaults where they are pushing through the town. Yesterday, we had video of their vehicles here. If you see this little tiny specky here, let me zoom in. Actually, let me do this.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
Who found all those little bubbles?
Dirk.
That's some pretty amazing job that he did there. There's a lot of bubbles.
He sure is. There are a lot of bubbles. Yeah, Dirk did all that. So you see these little rectangles here. These are all vehicles, so it's like a BMP, and I don't know, but these are vehicles. In the video, you see them driving, so they're not just random rectangles. Anyway, so this is about how far they got in the initial video that we had yesterday. More video today of them getting shelled and hit by drones, etc., even further in. So this attack probably happened a bit ago. I'm not sure the date. I don't know the date, but it probably happened a bit ago. And this is their pivot. And they're doing what Russia always does. It's when they find a new town to attack, their first play is always just go right at it. Just, grab the bull by the horns, go straight in, In baseball, in baseball we have a term called straight for the monkey, and that's what the Russians do. They go straight for the monkey.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Straight for the monkey. And like, I appreciate that you made a baseball reference, and like yesterday was opening day for the Jays. So that's awesome. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Straight for the monkey is
Yes.
in baseball. Can you just define that a little bit for me?
Oh, okay. Carlos Beltran, he signed his first big contract with the Cardinals, I believe, and or whatever. He signed his first big contract, and he had money, and he said when he got the money, he went straight to the monkey. So he went out and bought a pet monkey. So you go straight to the monkey.
That is amazing. Thank you. I will now Google this.
Yeah, there's an article about it, and my friend wrote it. Yeah, it's a really good article. It's really
I
funny.
really just want the pictures of the monkey, to be honest.
Yeah, he went straight for the monkey. The monkey wore a little diaper with a little monkey tail sticking out, and he eventually got rid of the monkey.
Oh no!
because of the
He's one of
monkey.
those- But he's one of those people who he got a nice pet and he kept it for a while and it got all used to him, and then he was like, no, I can't.
Well, it's a
Damn it.
monkey. It's like, if it were like a dog or a cat, it was a monkey.
Okay.
Monkeys are like not supposed to be pets.
Well, I agree with that, but like he kind of went down that path by that point. I don't know. I'm gonna look for the picture of the monkey.
Yeah. But yeah,
This is the
that's a phrase. It's straight to the monkey. It literally means monkey, like the animal. Okay, so yeah, the Russian strategy is always to go straight for a monkey first, and when they realize that monkeys are bad pets, they tend to try to flank it. And this is what we see now going on in Chasiv Yar, by the way. Last time I talked about how I thought their main attack would come to the south, and now there's news that they've made a lot of progress in the south of Chasiv Yar. So they went straight to the monkey, trying to capture the first houses and the first street of Chasiv Yar. Didn't work out. As I said then, I don't think they were actually trying to capture it. I think that they were trying to build a buffer so they could dump their infantry into this tree line. So they had pushed up to these houses with vehicles, and they're also dumping infantry in the back. I think this attack forward was just to clear room for the infantry to work and get established. I don't think they're actually trying to capture the town. And now they're moving through this forest in the south, and there's talk that may have captured over half of the forest already. So they're trying to get to the canal over here. Now crossing the canal, easier said than done. So we're probably looking at a situation where Ukraine is going to retreat to the canal and use the canal as a natural barrier. Crossing the canal is going to be difficult for Russia. Keep in mind that the canal has no water in it. It's not it's just a hole in the ground basically. It's not watery, There's a little water, but
Even during the spring, it doesn't have a whole bunch. I guess it's been really, really dry there right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, the dams and stuff that used to hold the water in the canal are all gone, so the water just goes right through. So
That makes perfect
the
sense.
only water there is rain drainage, and it just goes away,
Bummer.
So yeah, anyway, that's that in Chasiv Yar. So So right now we're seeing Russia try to attack Krasnohorivka. Um, I don't really see signs of obvious success, but it's hard to analyze at this point. They might get a foothold in this part of the town. Um, but who knows what that will bring them. I think ultimately they're going to have to attack the northern flank of Krasnohorivka and split apart Nevelska and Krasnohorivka. Either capture the town, Nevelska, either capture that or drive a wedge between them, one or the other. I think that's ultimately what they're going to have to do. But they're trying to just take the town right now. Whether that'll work or not, who knows? So yeah, that's this is the big event going on, and we have lots of little dots. All these ghosts are lost vehicles. Some of these are old. Like I think these two are old. There's a third. Where's the third? Did the third like get lost in somewhere? There's supposed to be three. I don't know, man. Sometimes things just get confused, you know. But yeah, there's supposed to be three there, and there's some other vehicles around that are old losses. Oh, I forgot. They're on the other map. That the We have a private map that we just have for ourselves. And I think some of those losses are on the other map.
So are all of those video maps, or did any of them come from satellite or anything else?
These are all. The only satellite we have here is public stuff. So if there's any satellite here, it's public. We don't have any like proprietary high res or anything.
That is a heck of a lot of videos to geolocate. Holy
Well,
bananas.
I think it was two. I think it was two videos. There's 61 and I think 71 maybe. I think anyway, you see all these are 61. But I think there were two videos. Oh, that's weird. Yeah. Anyway, that's that.
Holy-
So
That's
that's one event that's been going on. I honestly think people are blowing this attack out of proportion. A lot of people have been like saying like it's like doomsday or something like on Twitter today, especially with our the German. I don't want to say his name because I don't like him. But that guy. He was like, "Oh, here they come! Oh, the whole town's captured and everything's gets over." You know that guy. Anyways, yeah. Meanwhile, there was another event near Tonenke that also happened pretty recently. I don't think it was literally today, but recently. People are asking questions about Krasnohorivka. Was there a way to stop them before they got there? Yeah, the way would be more ammo. That's all. Because what the Russians did is you can see that they basically they started like here or whatever, like back there, but they like let's just say they started here. So they started here and they like drove like this, like drive, and then they like I think they crossed here or something, and then like drive, and then they got there, right? So so they were driving in giant wide open fields for a very long distance, like several kilometers of just driving in the wide open. And if you had sufficient artillery, you could have destroyed them. But Ukraine doesn't. So um, obviously they fired some artillery, We have lots of artillery strikes mapped. You can see in the images there's artillery coming, but this isn't enough artillery to stop a determined attack. So you see they kind of they started back here, drive, and if you recognize this hooded tank,
I was just going to ask about the turtle.
That's him.
Hi, turtle.
Yeah, and then yeah, so they drive. They crossed the train tracks up here, and drive. They're like driving along the train tracks, you know. So there was artillery going on. There was shelling, but just not enough. Just not enough. Now you probably would need things like anti-tank missiles, drones, etc. But there wasn't enough to stop them in the open, unfortunately. So they made it into the town, where they were driving up in their vehicles. You see a vehicle right here, and I think that's a vehicle. I'm not sure. That might be, but I'm not sure. But anyways, that's definitely one. And they're kind of driving up. Here's another one. So they're driving up, and I showed you this. They're right there, and yeah, that's their attack.
So, can I maybe ask a clarifying question? I have heard from a couple of people that it seems like there is a little bit more ammo getting to the front line. Is that just in really specific places, or is it everywhere, but it's just not even close to enough yet, and it's because it's only starting to happen in the last couple of days?
From what I've heard, Ukraine doesn't actually have more ammo yet. So, so yeah, there are reports, and I've talked to artillerymen, and they have more ammo, but Ukraine doesn't have more ammo. So the ammo is coming from somewhere. So some people have more ammo, and there's not more ammo. So, like, it's a zero-sum game. It means that other people are losing ammo, basically. Gotcha. So like, instead of giving everyone 20, they're giving some people 200 and other people like 1. like it's that sort of deal.
Cool. Maybe I'll ask a happier question to follow that up.
Yeah.
Where's the turtle now?
Oh, he broke.
Oh, how did he break?
Was he hit by a Gimler? Is that it? Anyway, he broke right there. There he is. I think he was hit by a Gimler. He says Gimler, question mark.
He looks like he's inside a building. Is that an important building?
Oh yeah, this was a building that he was born in, you know? He was born there. Well, does it count as being born? It's more like okay, so I have a question. Was Frankenstein the monster? Like Frankenstein's monster, was it born?
I was just gonna relate this. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Like, I have read the book. I think you have to go with created. You can't really go with born, because like technically all the pieces of Frankenstein's monster were born.
Yeah.
So then it would be created, per se.
Yeah. Well, it all came together right there. So it came full circle. It was created here and it ended here. Yeah, that was pretty cool. There was the video. I can show that video. That's definitely a video you can show. I just have to find it. One sec. Oh boy. Sometimes I forget I post a lot of videos. Where did I put it?
Oh, it's in the stream chat.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was planning. Look at me being prepared. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay. Oh, it opened in the wrong window. Let's fix that. Oh,
I still can't understand what those particular, I think they're just like roof paneling, maybe.
yeah. I don't think it's armor. Um,
No, it's definitely not armor.
no.
My favorite part of this though is that like I can totally envision that there is more than one Ukrainian FPV pilot that could evade all of that and land where it needed to land, uh, which makes it all moot point, and it just obstructs how much you can rotate your turret, which seems like a really poor choice when you have a tank.
Well, I am going with the assumption that the turret didn't work to begin with.
I mean, that's a fair assumption, yeah.
Yeah, I think the turret doesn't work. I don't know why you would do this to a tank unless the turret was broken. And I'll tell you what, a lot of tanks have broken turrets. A lot. For
That
all
seems like
sorts
a
of
real.
reasons. Like there's all sorts of reasons a turret can break. Because there's so many moving parts, you know? There's like any part can break in a turret. So like um like the traverse can break, the elevation on the gun could break, the optics could break. You know, there's everything, anything could break. So if you know, if enough of those systems are gone, then there's no turret. So so we've showed other vehicle modifications. They're very similar to this. And can you remember what those modifications were all on? Like what vehicle where it was being modified? This is my
Uh,
quiz.
you're quizzing the one person who never met.
Because it was it was MTLBs.
See, I was
they're
gonna
doing
say
this
that.
to an MTLB, right? They're putting these
Yes.
boxes on the back, and they're all like they all have this like angular side, and they have this box in the back. It's like a it's like a cattle box, you know, to bring your meat to the front. Um, but in my mind, they turned this tank into an MTLB, and people are saying like, but you ride the top of an MTLB. And I'm like, well, that's the top of the tank. That's where you are. You're
Uh,
riding the top of the tank. It's just an MTLB. It's just a like okay. So does it count as an armored personnel carrier if the only person armored is the driver? Because there's
I
no
mean,
turret. There's no turret. You can't see out the top of the tank because there's a giant thing on top. So it's just a driver, right? And with a box with like this like it's a metal box, but it's not armor. It's just like sheet metal. So is it an armored vehicle?
I mean, technically, this is exactly how are all of their armored vehicle or personnel carriers operate. There's like a person driving inside and then everybody else hanging off the outside. So I
Yeah.
don't see how it's any different.
Well, yeah. I just think that this isn't even an armored vehicle anymore. It's just a tractor. It's just a tractor. You could take just a normal farming tractor and tow like a trailer behind it, and I don't think it would be functionally different.
I feel like with a tractor, at least you might have a grapple off the front, and that would allow you to get all out of all the holes that all the tanks fall in to begin with. So you might be better off with the tractor.
Okay.
Speaking from experience and having fallen in holes with tractors and gotten out with the grappler, I'm just saying it's very useful.
What Russian vehicle would you least like to take a ride on? My answer is a golf cart. I don't want to ride your golf cart. There's no way
chance.
I'm riding a golf cart into battle. It's so stupid. Man, like my favorite golf cart are the golf carts where they okay, so you know those like beads, like those like beads you put in your door to like keep out bugs or whatever?
Say what?
Like the strings of beads.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Russians put those beads on the golf carts. Like it's like a string of beads, like the on the sides, because they're a golf cart. They don't have sides. They just put beads. So he's just driving around with beads. Let me find it.
Then just through the front, you can't see through the side. They really don't like visibility.
No,
They're like,
they put it on the sides. Yeah.
yeah. So they can only see out through the front, kind of like this thing. Man, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like these sorts of things, like these like bead doors, you know, except not as colorful. But that's what I'm talking about.
Like us. Also, how is she making $1,300 for that? That's amazing.
I don't know. It's a racket.
What are we doing with our lives? Why aren't we making $1,500 for beads?
So we have a question. We have a boat question. Would you like a boat question?
Question.
Will Ukraine use their corvette?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
Okay.
Will an increase in shells change the situation in Krinky? I don't think so.
I guess that depends if Krinky's on the lucky list or the not lucky list.
I don't know. I think Krinky is going exactly how Ukraine wanted it to go, more or less. It kind of doesn't matter anymore, I guess. I don't know. I feel like you could pull out of Krinky at this point and it wouldn't be that bad. They've like milked it, you know? All the milk came out. There's no more milk. Now it's just like a dry coconut now.
A dry coconut.
You need to be the bead cartel. I agree. Yeah, the bead cartel. I didn't realize you could make so much money on beads.
Right? We are missing out on life. Imagine how many sat images we could have if we made beads.
Yeah, but I'd have to make beads though. I'd have to hire people to make beads.
You know, aren't there some kids around we can enlist? If anybody has their kids they want to loan to us, we won't feed them or anything. We just want them to make beats for us. Don't actually send your kids, for the love of God. That was totally a joke. Please don't.
I don't want kids. No, thank you.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, so
We need a big sign you put up when it says exit is joking. Don't do that.
a question about mines. There are
Oh.
places where Ukraine did not lay mines. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
It was for political reasons, not for like military ones. It wasn't like a lack of mines. It was politics. Politics are stupid. But yeah, there were places they did not lay mines, and it created a terrible train wreck of horrible, and they're still living with the consequences. But at least, you know what? At least they got that political win for like 5 minutes. So you can hang your hat on that. Yeah. So regarding Krasnohorivka, um, the reason why Russia can drive through these wide open fields is not because Ukraine failed to mine them. They can drive through because they've already driven tanks through it and like crashed into every mine already. Okay, that's why Russia demined the field with tanks. it's not like it's not like Ukraine didn't mine it. This is actually really heavily mined. It's just they just kept driving tanks into the mines until there were no more mines. Which is, by the way, what they did in like Stepova. They just drove tanks in every single mine. And then they're like, okay, the mines are gone, send more tanks.
That is so many vehicles to lose in such a ridiculous way.
Yeah, it really was. We had videos from Stepova where there was just like a line of mines, like really obviously sitting on top of the ground. And a tank had like it was a T-80 BVM, like crashed into one and exploded, like totally exploded. And then like a T-62, I think, drove into another one that was right next to the T-80. And then between the two of those tanks, they cleared a path, and a third tank showed up. And instead of driving through the path, it just hit more mines and exploded. It was just clearing the mines. Like to me, either the drivers were stupid and were just like driving at random, or their goal was just to clear the mines. They're like, okay, we cleared a path, boys, but we either make the path wider by crashing into more mines. But yeah, they did it. That's how they break through places. You just keep driving tanks at it.
Right.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, depends on how you look at it. It's illegal, quote illegal, to have mines that you fire out of artillery, like permanent mines. You can have temporary mines, but they have to have like a self-destruct of some sort. There's no permanent mine that you can fire out of artillery. Well, it's like it violates like international law. And by international, I mean European. so, so yeah, there's no like permanent mines from artillery. So that would actually be really useful for Ukraine if they could, like every time Russia YOLO'd tanks into a minefield, if they could just shoot artillery at it to refill the minefield, that would be pretty cool. But it's illegal, so. Anyways, moving on to Pervomaiske. So I was talking about how in Tonenke they did this attack to the west. They got very, very far, much further than any of us are comfortable with, to be honest. We don't like that. This doesn't inspire joy. It's right there. Not good. And there's this one. No happiness when we see this. So yeah, they drove very far west. This field here, big question mark. Very big question mark. But we believe that this attack west when they penetrated this far, is one of, if not the reason, Ukraine completely withdrew from Pervomaiske. So Russia raised their flags in Pervomaiske. You see their stupid little flags in two different places. It appears that Ukraine just withdrew. They apparently withdrew from these northern fields and from the town and set up a new line, apparently. This field north of I have no idea how to pronounce that word. I don't know where the stress goes, you know? Is it Nataliova? Is that how you say it? Whatever.
That's how I would say it.
Yeah. I just don't know where the stress goes. I'm gonna go with Nataliova. Nataliova? Whatever. I'm so bad at this. Anyway, we don't know about this field. This field may be abandoned as well. So yeah, this is a little bit of victory going on for the Russians. So I'm going to show this in a 3D map, just so maybe we'll glean something interesting, or maybe we won't. I mean, who knows? I have not updated in my 3D-ness the current front line, so the deal with that. So here we go. You see that to the north, these fields that Russia was going through are the high ground, which is unfortunate. To the south, pretty flat. To the north is a little bit high, but mostly flat. And the town is in the low ground in the valley. Not a very big valley. Let's not exaggerate things, but it is a valley, a very shallow one. And that's pretty much true as you go forward, right? It's mostly flat though. This whole area is flat. Ukraine is very flat, especially this part of Ukraine. So this is where the vehicles were lost, right? Yeah, that's kind of the area, huh? I kind of want to show something. Wow, that was incredible. You couldn't see that, but it was wild. Okay, so I bought high-res imagery of Tonenke. And in this high-res imagery, I counted 91 destroyed vehicles. Or, well, I actually counted 98. Seven, I believe, were definitely Ukraine. And then there were 91 in kind of this middle area, right? It's all these green eyeballs, basically. And of those 91, not all of them are Russian. I know, like, on Telegram, like, everyone wants to say they're all Russian, but they're not all Russian. They're mostly Russian, though. Of those 91, a few of them are Ukrainian. Like, there's, like, a BMP-1 over there, and then there's, like, a T-64 somewhere. Like, there's... I think this is a Ukrainian BMP that was abandoned, and then there's Ukrainian tank there, and something else Ukrainian there. So I think like 6 of them or something like that were Ukrainian, and like the other like 86 or whatever, or 85 or whatever it was, are Russian. And these losses are all the green dots are perfectly located, like within less than a meter. It's like perfect, exactly where the vehicles are. These blue ones are not accurate. Like this blue one, its location that we gave it was so wrong that I wasn't sure which green eyeball it's supposed to be attached to. I need to figure it out at some point. It's same with these two. Like these 3 all came from one video, and we screwed up the location for that video, and I need to figure out which green dots they actually apply to, etc. So, but yeah, this is their crazy little attacks that they've been going on, and I just wanted to clear up some information about this imagery. The first point was that the people claiming it was all Russian, which is not true. So like almost all of it is, but not all of it. The second point is that the image is from April 6th, so we don't have anything from the 7th or 8th or today. But that's cool, I guess. Most of the big attacks appeared to be before the 6th, so we have like all the major attacks we've seen. So any major attack, although I heard there may have been an attack today, another big attack. I think they kind of like took a few days off and then had another big one today, but obviously we don't have that because the image is too old. So yeah, that's just kind of that. So 90. So let's call it 86. 86 losses, or 85, and let's call it 85. 85 losses over the course of like what was it, like 4 days? It's crazy. That's like wild. It's like an insanity, basically. They did move a very long distance in that short period of time, and now we know that they're already over here. So they have moved a significant distance, where they've like started there and now they're here. So they've moved about 5 kilometers, which is actually really far. I think that's about how far Ukraine moved to get to Rabatina. It was about 5 kilometers. So 5 kilometers is pretty far, and they've penetrated further than I think a lot of people thought they would. I think most analysts believed that Russia would get to they would get to this tree line right here and be stopped. I think that was kind of the hope, that Ukraine would hold this line, basically hold the line between this pond and this like watery lowland area. People were hoping Ukraine could hold that line, but obviously they didn't, and Russia's pushed through and gotten to the next tree line behind it, which is not good. It's bad. It's bad. So this is I'm wanting to just show. Okay, so this is Russian losses plus things that we found on satellite plus unknown. So this is not Ukrainian losses. This is it's a lot of losses. So I made the title of the stream today, a year delayed. And the reason I called it that is because everything that we're seeing happen right now, it's not even a year delayed, but I just call it a year delayed. It's only like 2 years delayed, but everything we're seeing happen right now are consequences of things that happened in 2022. It took like 2 years, a year and a half, whatever you want to call it. It took that amount of time for the events of 2022 to like bubble up to the surface for us to see the full long-term consequences. So by that, I mean, I'm going to turn that off for a second. There was a point where Ukraine was in a position where they could have defended this road right here. And Ukraine was prepared to defend it, and they wanted to. But there was one big problem. And that problem was they had no ammo at all. By no ammo at all, I don't mean Ukraine didn't have ammo. I mean, these guys who are right here did not have ammo. And they didn't have ammo because their commander's commander had deprioritized this area of the battlefield. And instead, they were routing ammo to the north, to Bakhmut, basically. So this area had basically no ammo. And when they lost Piski, whatever. When they lost this town, the logical thing to do would have been to slowly pull back, which is what they did, to slowly pull back into this defensive line and to defend this defensive line. And generally speaking, Ukraine wanted to use this defensive line as their primary line. So this was supposed to be where all the fighting happened. But instead, they had to keep falling back to Vodyana, which was supposed to supply that line, but not be the line. So Russia very quickly moved up and captured all this grounds, like in the course of a very short period of time. And they eventually YOLO'd a bunch of BMPs. I think they threw like 3 BMPs full of infantry straight into the easternmost part of Vodyana. They captured these like 4 houses all the way in the end, and slowly worked across and captured all of Vodyana, and then Opitna. So all of this happened due to lack of ammo. But the reason this was so vitally important, and Ukraine knew at the time it was important. They knew at the time this was incredibly important, like one of the most important things going on. But they were prioritizing like Bakhmut. The reason this was important is because this road created a defensive line along with Zenit. There was Zenit here. There was this road here. And then there was supposed to like and this road wrapped down into Republika Mist is here. And this was supposed to be their defensive line. This was like supposed to be their main line. Republika Mist held on for a long time. This part was lost like immediately, and Zenit obviously held on to the bitter end. It was one of the last things they lost. But if they had held this road, attacking Zenit would have been like impossible. And if they had held this road, then attacking Pervomaiske would have been like impossible. And this was all supposed to be how this whole area was defended. But this defensive line collapsed very early on without a fight. And that's the key. It's not like Russia attacked it and pushed them out and you know that happens. They lost it without a fight. They just withdrew because they had no ammo. Now you have to zoom out and say, why did they have no ammo? And in part, it was European and American politics. It wasn't a lack of ammo. We have ammo. Like obviously, there is ammo. Like people kept saying, like, "Oh, there's no ammo anywhere," and then like the Czech government went out and found like 1.5 million rounds just like sitting there, you know, and people had spent like all the time saying there's no ammo. There was ammo. There was. Just that we didn't send it. And it wasn't a matter of money, because we had the money. And it wasn't a lack of ammo, because we had the ammo. It was a lack of political will. It was a lack of people taking it seriously. Everybody was... They were at the time, and they still are, treating every situation like there's plenty of time to work with. It's not a rush. In reality, everything is a rush. Things have to happen as fast as possible. So losing this defensive position created a domino effect. And that domino effect culminates in the loss of Pervomaiske. Because Pervomaiske was supposed to be defended by Chasiv Yar. Chasiv Yar collapsed because Zenit collapsed. Zenit collapsed because this road was lost. And that's kind of my point. So this whole area, what we're watching now, this collapse around this all these fields being lost, Pervomaiske being lost, then pushing west from Tonenke, this all stemmed from the Western countries not providing ammo when it was needed in May of 2022. Okay.
I've been pondering that whole thing a lot the last week or so, and watching the politics in Poland and a lot of these other places. I think one of the pieces that we maybe don't mention enough is that if all of that ammunition and weapons and all of those things had been sent really early on, there was much more public support for Ukraine and funding Ukraine in that time period.
Yep.
And there probably wouldn't be the same amount of pushback then as we're seeing now. And it would have been much easier to actually arm Ukraine the way they needed to when there was less pushback, instead of now being 2 years into it and having not an entire change in public opinion, but there's definitely more people that are frustrated by it.
And back then, like, those guys, they weren't asking for like 155 ammo. That's not what they were asking for. What they wanted were mortars. They just wanted mortars. They're like, give us mortars and we'll defend this place. And the world was like, nah, we don't want to. I mean, mortars are so cheap. They're so cheap. They cost a fraction of an artillery shell. Because they're easier to produce. They're made of lesser quality steel. The manufacturing process is much more simple. They can be cast. You don't have to forge them. You can forge them, but you don't have to. They can be made out of extruded metal. So the manufacturing process is much simpler and much cheaper. And not only that, but the wall thickness of a shell is one of the main determining factors of how expensive it is to produce a shell. So the thicker the wall, the more expensive the shell is. And mortar shells have relatively thin walls, whereas like 155 have very thick walls. Like a 105, and it goes up with like the square of the thickness. So small changes in thickness produce big changes in how much energy has to go into creating the shell. Yeah, the 155 shell thickness is very thick compared to the 105, and the 105 is thick compared to a mortar. So, and that thickness is a big determining factor of price. That and the type of steel. Mortars can be made of relatively low quality steel, whereas the 155s require very high quality steel. And that high quality steel is in short supply. Europe doesn't have that much of it. One of the main producer of the high quality steel is China. So you have to buy a lot of steel from China, and it gets expensive. Europe really needs to start making that high quality steel, but they don't make that much of it. And there's like this propaganda campaign that's bizarre, that Europe refuses to admit that they don't make high quality steel, because it's like a point of pride. Like, of course our steel's good. Like, that's not the Like, it's not an ego thing. It's just like it's chemistry. It's literally chemistry. Yeah, the lower quality the steel, the more the shell is going to cost, because high quality steel is you pick it because of the alloys are better to work with, and the lower quality steels like breaks down your machinery and stuff, and ends up costing a lot more money. But yeah, yeah, that's one thing. What we're seeing today is the consequences of actions from 2022, um, for positive and negative. There are a lot of things that happened in 2022 that we're seeing like impact the battle today. First, Ukraine not mobilizing in 2022 has led to problems in shortages of manpower. Second, Ukraine not building sufficient defenses has led to insufficient defenses in these major areas of contact. Third was the West not supplying enough supplies early in the war when it was needed, and they waited way too long, and so that's another issue. So those are issues that we see today. So it makes you wonder. My my hypothetical question to everybody is, what things will be impacting the war in a year from now that are a result of things that are happening today? Because there are a lot of things happening today. One thing that's happening today is Ukraine is building defenses. The defenses Ukraine is building are pretty far back from the front. Because you can't build a. Oops, sorry, that was probably loud. You can't build defenses that close to the front because it requires a lot of heavy machinery, and the machinery is expensive. So you don't want to lose it. So you have to do it a little far back. You have to do it out of range, typically, or at least a relatively safe distance. So there, Ukraine is building defenses. Another thing that we see happening today is Russia's hemorrhaging huge amounts of losses of all sorts. They're losing incredible amounts of infantry. They're losing incredible numbers of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, and losing everything at incredible numbers. How is that going to play out in a year from now? Because these things, they don't. The consequences of actions are not immediate. They take a very long time to bubble up, because these armies are very large, and the distances are very large, and it just takes a long time for everything to all come together. But we're seeing the input. At every step, you see the input, and you see it produce the output you expect, except that output tends to be much later than you might expect it to be.
I
Isn't
know that I mostly, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
I mostly concentrate on things on the water a little bit more. But I think the two things that I'm seeing right now that I think will have long-term consequences is the inability for Ukraine to stop Russia from targeting infrastructure right now, especially power. If that continues, long term, that's going to have some massive consequences for Ukraine. But on the upside, in the last couple of days, it turns out that it very much appears that somebody in the Defense Intelligence Ukraine set a fire inside a ship in Kaliningrad, which like isn't in the Black Sea. It's a long ways from the Black Sea. If the Russian Navy continues to take losses even outside the Black Sea, that also could have some consequences we maybe hadn't considered.
Yep. And Kaliningrad has a lot of very anti-Russian sentiment in Kaliningrad. Very anti-Russian. So we have a question from DuckDuck20. Well, I used to think he was Duck Duck Twerk, but
So much better is twerk.
yeah. So he says, "Isn't Russia losing too many vehicles to keep up the pace?" Long term, yes. Short term, I don't know. Apparently not. Apparently not. Short term. In the long term, absolutely. The long term problem here for Russia is they're did they say this where you're from? Did they say you're cruising for a bruising? That's what Russia's doing. They're cruising for a bruising. But how long? That's the question. Is how long? How long does it take to get there? Because it's not going to happen overnight, and we're not there yet. It's going to take a while, but yeah,
Well,
it's
and
just,
I
think turning
that
tanks into MTLBs is a weird sign.
it is a weird sign. It also, I don't know if you can extrapolate this, but it's a question that I'd like to ask some of the maintenance people in the next couple of days. I hadn't had a chance to do it yet, but if their maintenance personnel are not maintaining vehicles, but instead spending time doing projects like that look like they probably take at least a decent amount of time. Why aren't they maintaining vehicles? Is there like they can't maintain vehicles because almost every vehicle that gets stopped by artillery gets then hit by FPVs and burnt out, and it's too far gone, and they just don't have the parts to maintain those vehicles and bring them back to service? Or are they not maintaining vehicles because most of the vehicles they know aren't really worth doing maintenance on because they're only going to take one trip into battle and they're not coming back? There's a whole bunch of questions that kind of arise from that specific video if you like think deeply about what that means. And I don't think we know the answers to those things, but I think finding the answers to those things or thinking about them might contribute to that entire discussion about when Russia runs out or doesn't run out and what other indicators we should be watching for.
Yeah, there was I probably should have saved this and posted it to Twitter, but I didn't think to. But there was a video recently that came out that was a bunch of Russians in a warehouse repairing BTRs. And they were saying that they were like preparing for an assault and they had to get all the BTRs working to get ready to attack. And when I saw it, I just giggled. I was like, oh, those BTRs are going to last like 5 minutes. Because that's how Russians use them. They're like, YOLO, and just drive forward. It's like, but, yeah, I guess, like, more seriously, I kind of wish I could talk to a mechanic about that video. Like, I wish I could show that video to a BTR mechanic and be like, what are these guys doing? Like, do you see anything interesting? Because I wonder, were they just doing basic maintenance, or were they repairing something, or like what was going on? I don't know enough about a BTR to have any clue. I should see a guy like hitting a BTR with a wrench. That's all I see. You know, we also
That
bought.
video,
Yep.
sorry, that video was recent. I was just looking for it.
Yeah, it was from yesterday or the day before.
Okay. Go on.
There are not as many videos as Ukrainian armor as Russian. They're so full of shit, dude. Try to stick to reality. Just do us a favor and try to stick to reality.
You were saying you bought a satellite image.
Yeah, we bought also bought an image of Berdichi, and we counted the losses in Berdichi. Oddly enough, there were a bunch of losses we missed. I actually wasn't expecting to have missed as many here, but we missed a lot of these losses on like this tree line here, and we missed some of the losses in these houses. Like one of these vehicles is like literally inside of a house. It's like I am the house now. But yeah, he's like drove into the house, and I don't know what happened to it, but it got hit by something and exploded, and now it's just like a destroyed vehicle inside of a destroyed house. Okay, Jimmy Jams. Should I acknowledge him? I guess I should.
No.
I'm gonna acknowledge him. I'm gonna give him one chance to respond, and then I'm gonna ban him, and then we're gonna be done with Jamie Jams. Okay, so Jamie Jams. Last year, I said that if Russia was reduced to 700 tanks, it would be a good time for Ukraine to attack. That's what I said. That's it. I didn't say Russia had literally 0 vehicles left. I never said that. You fucking moron. So I'm gonna give you your one chance to respond, and then I'm gonna ban you. So here, give me your best shot. Anyways, and no, this image did not cost $5,000. I wish I could buy the $5,000 one. It would be so
We
cool.
all a $5,000 video.
All right. Well, Jimmy's not responding, so I'll just ban him. I gave him a shot. But yeah, this high res image here, this one I think cost $230, I think, something like that. It was like $230, and the one of Berdici was like $180, I think. Yeah, these were the 2 images.
And how much time did those images cost you?
How much time? Like 4 hours
Per image?
like total. Yeah, because you get delivered the image at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why they always come at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I looked at, well, I waited a while and to open it because I like read stuff because I knew as soon as I opened it I wouldn't do anything else for the rest of the day. So like I was trying to do stuff first. and I read a bunch of stuff. I did some stuff. You know, I organized things. I put stuff in the spreadsheet, and I was like, okay, we're going for it. And I opened it at like 9:30, and I worked on it until like I don't know, like 2.
Were you the only one who worked on it? Or like, I assume it wasn't just 4 hours.
Well, I mean, what I did took that time.
Okay.
So we use the images. Like we constantly use the image. You know, it's not like we use it like we look at it once and throw it away. It's like we constantly use the image. So, but just going through the image and counting, like looking for vehicles, like finding stuff, like okay. So, as an example, I talked about how we I bought an image of a tourney, and that was like $400. So and I found I think like 130 or 150 or whatever it was vehicles here. Yesterday we found like 4 more, so I just missed them. It's really big. To be fair, it's a lot of area to look at. I just like missed a few. Like they weren't even like they're like right there. I just missed them.
So that's actually the perfect explanation of, yeah, the images cost money. Yes, they cost time and effort, obviously, and they kind of like throw you off your plan. But the value that you get out of them
Yeah.
is way more than what the cost is.
Yeah, like the video I think I only publicly posted parts of the video. Where am I? I'm lost. Oh, Tonenke. I think I only publicly posted parts of this video. Yeah, this video here. Why did that not work? That's weird. Okay, so this video here, it was posted by Deep State, and it had like loads and loads of vehicles in it. By the way, this video is how I learned I missed vehicles because the video had the vehicles, and we're like, "Where is this?" So we look at the high res, and it's like, "Oh, it's right there." It's like it's in the image. Okay, so yeah, so these were all vehicles that we had on the high res, and in the video, like it would be so hard to geolocate some of this stuff. Like well, actually that one's not that hard, but like some of these would be so hard to geolocate if like this one. Like we know like exactly precisely where this wreck is because of the image. Yep. So so if we weren't able to geolocate them, then we wouldn't like know how to analyze it. It could be an old vehicle, it could be a new vehicle, you know, we don't know. So that's but because we have the high res, we can see like where all these are, and these are all exactly located vehicles because we know exactly where they are in on the high res. Like this BTR was on the high res, and wow, this image is a big old image. Let's just open that in a new tab. Look how big it is. Thank you, Dilly. Dilly Dolly Daydream. Thank you very much. So yeah, these are all these 4 vehicles here were very well known already. This truck we can't find. It's not in our high res. We think it's probably too far east. It's like out of high res image and then these two vehicles here, those two there. So yeah, there's this whole little area right here. That's all right here. So you see these three dots right here, right north of those dots, like right on the forest edge, is the destroyed the Stritzwagen. Anyway, sorry, the word just makes me laugh now. But yeah, it's the destroyed Stritzwagen right north of those. So they had to veer off the road to drive around our little friendly tank, and in the process they exploded. Thank you, Mina. But yeah, the high res helps us out a lot in locating not only the stuff in the image, but then locating everything that happens after, because we can use that image as all sorts of landmarks. Like we can see, like, if a tree fell down, we see like, oh, this vehicle is next to a tree that fell in the road, and we can look for the tree in the road. It's things like that, because it's high enough res. The res that we get is superior by a lot, actually, than our map. Like if you look at Google Earth, the res we get of the images is higher than this. It's higher res than that. So on this image, you can see all sorts of things, and the images that we get are even higher res. Plus, if we know what we're doing, which honestly we don't, but if we know what we're doing, we can like mix the channels on the image to get all sorts of cool effects. Like we could be looking at near infrared to look at plant matter and stuff like that, but we don't, because we don't know, we're not cool like that. But we could, in theory. We have the technology, we just don't know how to use it. Stuff like that might be more useful in summer, honestly. So yeah, there's kind of one more area that I wanted to talk about briefly. Well, there's two things. Two things. They're both related to. Oh, they're all related to this area. One thing that I find very interesting is that the Ukrainians in Klashivka and Andriivka, they are saying that they have rebuilt their supply roads to no longer rely on Ivanivska at all. Because obviously Ukraine has lost Ivanivska, but they were still kind of supplying, like, kind of this way. I'm not showing it, am I? They're still so they lost Ivanivska, but they're still kind of supplying this way. Um, not literally in a straight line, but basically using that kind of direction. But they've apparently changed their whole logistics line to come from a different direction. I have no clue where their logistics are now, but I just know they're not coming from the north anymore. They're now coming from the west. So that's one interesting thing. They're saying that they can hold Klashivka even without Ivanivska. So even if Ukraine loses this whole forest area here, they are claiming that they can still hold Klashivka, which is it's interesting. I don't know if I believe it, but that's their claim. The other thing is that Russia is apparently moving down this forest as predicted. I'm not sure how far they went. This is why I left it a gray area, but they could basically just control this whole area. I'm not really sure. Another thing is that I can never say this name. I'm not going to say it because I don't feel like saying it wrong. But this town here is I And I'm not sure how much Russia controls it, but I've heard a substantial amount. Like I've heard that they control like the whole eastern side, and by eastern I mean like here as opposed to there. Like they hold like this part. Uh, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they control, which is why I left it a gray area. But um, was it Bodanivka? Is that how you say it? Bodanivka? Anyway. Anyway, so that town. So this whole area is not going great, basically. So Ivanivska, Russia cannot finish capturing it because they're taking a lot of casualties. The supply roads are not great. Um, it's hard to reinforce, and just generally speaking, they're having a tough time. So they had to go through and capture this high ground. Keep in mind that this kind of rockiness that you see here, this like rockiness, is because this is a side of a hill. So this up here is the high ground, and this down here is the low ground. So they're they're kind of moving through like the grade of the hill, you know, like the slanted part. Like the part that I hate walking on because it makes my ankles hurt. That's the part of the hill they're on.
That's such a great description.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate doing that. I have terrible ankles. Both of my well actually I have one terrible ankle and one terrible foot. So I hate walking on those like
This is entirely accurate.
like walking like that just it causes so much pain. It makes me very sad.
Andrew walking in general.
I
causes
can
so
I
much
can go up the hill. I can go up the hill and I can go down the hill. I just don't like going like
sideways,
across the hill.
traversing the hill.
Yeah, it's not fun. No thanks. I'll go straight up. Like I'd rather go to the top and walk along the top than go along the side. Anyway, that's kind of all the news I had to say around here. Um, from the people I've heard from today, they say that the tourney area is relatively stable and they're happy with it. But that's like it was very. I have a fake leg. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't have a fake leg.
And an eye. And he says, "Ah," all the time.
Use an exosuit, dude. I would love an exosuit, dude. Like one of those exosuits from like what was that game like Crisis, where you could go invisible. I would. I'd be pretty psyched. I would. I kind of want to just always be invisible. I think that'd be awesome. Not so much in it for the super strength or the super endurance and the super jumping and stuff. I just want to be invisible because it's cool. Yeah. So that's kind of the main news that I kind of wanted to talk about. Beyond that, there was a farmer that ran into a they didn't want to say if it was a mine or a ammo. I think it was a UXO. We'll just call it a UXO. Anyway, he ran into that. The truck exploded, but I think the farmer was not wounded, but the truck was wounded. The truck is sad, but the farmer is
The truck
fine.
is very sad. Yeah, and the farmer was.
Yeah, and over here, an elderly man stepped on a pedal mine, which is bad for you, by the way. Not good for you. I think he was 67 years old and he stepped on the pedal mine. Not great. Um, yeah. There's been some somewhat interesting news. I think like Shahed's taking out power in various parts of the country. I've been mapping that.
Mm,
Um, They always say the same thing, and I never believe it any of the times they say it, but they keep saying it, and I keep not believing it. But they say, maybe I should believe it. You tell me. They say that there is a shahed flying, and they shoot it down successfully, shot it down, goes into the stats, right? That's a one, you put that on the scoreboard, one shot down. Except, unfortunately, it crashed directly into critical infrastructure.
Are you sure it's the Shahed that's hitting the critical infrastructure? Because my understanding was that most of the critical infrastructure was missile hit.
Sure heads.
Okay. I do know that a number. So here is my theory on that.
I forgot to label this one, but you see, it says here. I'll zoom in.
Here's my theory on that.
Shared landed in the power lines.
Is it 60% or 40%? I can't remember which is which. I think it's 40% of Shaheds are shot down with those mobile units that are basically using large guns mounted on the back of trucks. Man, I can't remember which percentage it is. I wish I could. At any rate, those very large guns mounted on the backs of trucks can't shoot that far. So they're only engaging a target as it's really approaching whatever it's targeting. So by the time you actually hit it, the chances of it still having enough inertia to hit something close to it are pretty likely, unfortunately.
Yep. The of those guns, I believe that I think their maximum effective range is probably around 4 kilometers. And that's if you use a radar. If you are aiming by hand, its maximum range might be like 2 kilometers. And more realistically, more like 1 kilometer. And yeah. If it's 1 kilometer away and it's flying pretty fast, and you're obviously not going to hit it unless you're really lucky. You're not going to hit it on the first shot. So it might not be a kilometer away anymore. It might be more like a half kilometer by the time you hit it. So, yeah. Yeah, this example was a power line, but I read these every day, and they don't always hit power lines. Sometimes they hit something else. I'm trying to find one where I just find it funny. They say we shot down, like, we were attacked by 8 Shaheeds. We shot down all 8, and the critical infrastructure exploded and is on fire. It's like, does that? I feel like you didn't shoot them down. It's just like I feel like you didn't shoot them down. if they're hitting, I feel like you didn't shoot it down. I guess they could be hitting like the parking lot, right? That could be a positive spin. Anyways, I don't really have anything else to talk about. Would you like to?
Yes.
Is there other stuff you'd like to talk about? Is there something I missed?
I was totally talking to you and then realized I was muted. But anyways, to your last point, I was just going to say, what?
No, go on.
Okay. I was just going to say, they could be like winging the Shahed and it hits like an administration building at that particular critical infrastructure place instead of a much more critical piece of critical infrastructure, would be my point. But anyways, I see your point. I also am entirely impressed with the amount of things that they do stop before they hit things. So I don't know. I'm way too positive for this crap, okay? That's really all it comes down to. Anyways, I had a few quick things I was going to mention.
Before you do that, I just want to answer 2 quick questions.
Yeah, do it.
Question 1 was, well, it's not really a question. It's where, anyway, Russia fired a missile into a Ukrainian storage might be the wrong word, junkyard of D20s. And they blew up a bunch of D20s that have been sitting there for 7 years. Very impressive. So yeah, I do not count those as losses. They're like museum junkyard pieces. Like, they're the sorts of things that, you know, if you wanted to have like a really cool wedding, you could get one and like make a junkyard like sculpture with like a D20 as like the centerpiece. You know what I mean? That'd
But
be like
Andrew,
a weird wedding thing.
so many Ukrainian accounts picked that up and said, "Oh my gosh, how did this happen? Are
Yeah,
you sure that it's not like way more important than 7-year-old stuff that hasn't moved on satellite?"
yeah. A country that is in desperate need of every artillery piece it can get, to the point where it's going to other countries and begging for old used garbage. Country is definitely the country that would keep a whole bunch of fully functional howitzers in a base that no one uses anymore. Definitely.
Uh-huh.
We have another question, which is regarding helping us. You say that you messaged me on Twitter and I didn't respond. Well, I responded to everyone I saw, so I didn't see it. I'm sorry. You can message me again, maybe. I'm sorry. I just didn't see it. I get a lot of messages on Twitter, so everyone I saw I responded to. If I didn't respond, it's because I didn't see it. Just like keep like messaging me. I don't know. Okay.
Okay. So there's really only
with
2 things.
one more observation. It's not really a question.
Oh,
Is
go for it.
is from our friend. I believe her name is pronounced Teet, right? Is it Teet? Anyway, he says, in the 90s, Estonia, as a kid, I used to play in an abandoned loaf. I couldn't imagine back then that loaves would become such an icon. And they have, haven't they?
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that made my night. Thank you. That's so good. My 2 very quick points. Number 1, Odessa just keeps getting hammered and hammered and hammered. And Russia is very particular about the times that they do it, and they're trying to deprive an entire city of people of sleep. And it's working to a degree, because yesterday we saw at least one air raid alarm get filled with expanding foam so that the people who lived underneath it could sleep through the night. And that's very frustrating to me. Not that they did that. I totally can understand the need to sleep through the night. I'm sure Andrew would agree that sleeping through the night, especially when you have things that you feel are more important and that keep you awake, sleeping through the night for the first time in a long time really changes your life and changes your outlook on life. And it's great. But also, man, that frustrates me that that's been going on for so long now. But anyways, that's just me venting. Andrew gets to rant a lot. I get to rant about that just once. And because I actually think it's a little bit funny that they actually phoned the air raid alarm. Like, don't do that. Don't get me wrong. Do not do that. It's bad. There's other people out there who really do want to hear that air raid alarm, and please don't do that. But also it's a little teeny bit funny. Yeah, Shahid strikes. There's so many of them down there. The other thing that happened this week, H.I. Sutton had a tweet about it. It is in the stream chat if you want to put it up, Andrew. Down in the southern portion of Romanian waters, somebody called in to the SAR team there and said, hey, it looks like there's an overturned fishing boat floating around in the Black Sea by southern Romania. And the Romanian SAR team went down there and they got this little fishing boat and they towed it back to the port of Constanta. And the next day they had some investigators come and look at it. And it turns out that it is an American fishing boat, rigid hull inflatable boat type thing. It's not an inflatable boat, but it does have a portion that's inflatable. Let's put it that way. And it is holding a Russian shaped charge, which if it had gone off and actually hit the boat that towed it into the port of Constanta, would have probably sunk that boat. At any rate, they did go out and destroy this USV, for lack of a better way of describing it, or sea drone is what H.I. Sutton calls it. I would recommend reading his story about it. It's actually quite interesting. This entire story is very interesting to me. A, that nobody kind of recognized what it was until they got it into the port, and B, that they towed a very large explosive into the port. All of these things are a little bit interesting. And also, I find it really interesting that it's holding a Russian munition on what is a American boat. And if you read H.I. Sutton's article, you'll note that he says he believes it probably has some sort of a Ukrainian origin. I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. When you look at that particular boat, it sure doesn't look as sophisticated as most of the other Ukrainian USVs that we've seen. Even the really early production ones looked a lot more sophisticated than this. At any rate, it's super interesting. I would love to find out more about it at some point in time. Hopefully we will in 20 years, and maybe we'll be around to see it. At any rate, it's a story to follow to see if we see more of these types of USVs show up, or if we see kind of the descendant design from these USVs showing up somewhere. And those are my two things.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention one last thing. I just find amusing. It made my, well, it didn't make my day. That's kind of exaggerating it. It made me chuckle. It gave me a chuckle, a hearty chuckle. I put this out on Twitter, and I don't think I can show the video. I can describe it to you. So the video consists of a Russian drone going out to a Ukrainian trench. It locates a Starlink and an EW system. Then later on, another drone flies in, and it drops a bomb on the Starlink and blows up the Starlink. and then dropped another bomb on the EW system and blew that up too. And then it cuts to my vehicle losses chart, and it zooms in on where I said a Ukrainian Starlink was destroyed, and highlighted it, and then the video ends. And it's weird. It just wasn't what I was expecting to see today. Just wasn't what I was expecting at all.
Hands down, the weirdest meta thing I've seen in this war. It was bizarre.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up just the end of the video where it's post violence. You know, we're gonna get to the post violence. This is the they just like zoom in. What is this?
So weird.
It's so weird. So weird. That just wasn't what I was expecting today. I wasn't expecting that at all.
On the upside, in order for them to see that, they had to see all the Russian losses as well.
They sure did. They had to see that too. It makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. Like, are they looking at that every day? Like, do they see like, oh man, we're getting our butts kicked? Or do they just not believe it? They're just like, oh, they're making up numbers again.
Making up numbers, but hey, definitely that Starlink, that one was ours. Okay. And also, we're going to publish the video to prove it was ours, and we're going to tag you in it and highlight exactly where you put it. Little weird.
Yeah. So the question, why do I only put the previous day in the spreadsheet? Because that was my compromise. I didn't have to make any of it public because I was tracking it the whole time. I didn't have to make anything public. And I didn't want to make it all public. So I decided to just put the previous day. Yeah. And if you only, like, if you scraped the previous day every day, especially if you only got the image, you'd be missing a lot. Trust me. Like the full database is bigger than what is posted. Anyways, that's all I gotta talk about. I have an outro song.
Do it.
Which song do people want to listen to? Do people want to listen to the Russia exploding outro song? Do they want to listen to the reggae outro song? Or the loaf's exploding outro song? Which song should I play?
Hey, next week, can we have the exit song?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Which but I've been using the Russia exploding outro song for a while.
Well, we can just do the exit song before I talk about ships. Who planted it? It's short. It'll be perfect.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do Russia exploding again. We'll do Russia exploding outro song because it's a fun song. It's just like it's a banger, you know. It's a good dance song. Oh, people
Yes.
want the live song. Okay. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna start playing the other song. I'm gonna immediately pause it, switch it to the loaf song, and then play that song. That's what's gonna happen. Unfortunately, I can't change the song until I open the song, and when I open it, it'll immediately start playing. So We'll see you again on Friday, and we'll play the outro song. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
In the land of vodka and matryoshka dolls, there's
Cruising down the street, looking for a fight. In our loaves, they got no style, alright. But the square edges and awkward frames feel like circus clowns in the military game. Oh,